I'm an older single woman. I always thought I was very outstanding, until I went to the matchmaking market. I realized that just like men without money, older women have no market, nobody likes them, nobody wants them. It was then that I woke up and realized that I'm the type who doesn't fit in either way. I should get married in the countryside, that's where is most suitable for me, that's where my best future lies.
It's been almost a year since I came back, and no one has introduced anyone to me. People think that, being over 30, what can they introduce you to? Seriously, girls, marriage should be early. It's better to try when you're in your 20s. I was born in 1989, and now I'm 35 years old, still single and without children. At this point, I feel like I'm standing at a crossroads where all I can do is let life take its course. I don't have a stable career or significant savings. Originally, I had planned to get married during this year's National Day holiday. But unexpected circumstances turned that plan into just another unfulfilled dream. My personality plays a significant role in where I am today. I'm naturally introverted, and because of this, my social circle is incredibly small. I rarely enjoy socializing, so I barely have any friends, much less friends of the opposite sex. This introversion isn't something I chose, it's deeply rooted in my upbringing. Growing up, my parents were strict, and my childhood revolved around chores and responsibilities. There was no personal space to explore friendships. No freedom to nurture the kind of social skills that others develop naturally. This has left me struggling to connect with people, to maintain relationships, or to build the foundation for a partnership. Over the years, I've been in only 2 relationships. In both cases, the men made the first move. I wasn't opposed to their advances, so I went along with it. However, my second relationship ended in November last year, leaving me back at square one. Since then, I've turned to online matchmaking in an attempt to find someone compatible. Initially, I set the bride price at 150,000 yuan, a common practice in my hometown. But the harsh criticism I received online was overwhelming. Many people dismissed me, saying it's unreasonable for someone my age to even suggest a bride price. It forced me to reflect deeply. Yes, I've come to accept that at 35, I might need to adjust my expectations. I'm willing to lower the bride price if I meet the right person. But completely abandoning it? I can't. This tradition isn't just about money, it's a cultural expectation ingrained in my hometown's identity. And then there's a truth that's hard for others to believe: I'm still a virgin. It's not out of pride, but because I've always been incredibly shy. For me, intimacy is something I reserve for someone I truly care about. But whenever I share this, it's met with skepticism and disbelief. Men hear my age and instantly assume I'm lying. They dismiss my value because of the number 35. As if my entire worth is diminished by time itself. I've started to wonder if society will ever view people like me differently. Why is it so hard to believe that someone might hold on to their values even as the years go by? Why does my age overshadow everything else that I have to offer? For now, I've resigned myself to the unpredictability of fate. If I meet someone who sees me for who I truly am, that would be a gift. But if I don't, I've come to terms with the idea of walking this journey alone. It's not the life I envisioned, but it's the reality I've been given, and I'll face it as best as I can.
Hello, everyone. A lot of people send me private messages asking if I'm looking for a live-in son-in-law. Well, I'm not, you know? Because I have a younger brother, right? It's actually my friend who's looking for a live-in son-in-law. Then they ask me, if you're not looking for a live-in son-in-law, how much dowry would you ask for in marriage? As for me, someone who isn't after a house, right? Or a car, who doesn't have any requirements for a house or a car, what I ask for is a dowry. At least 250,000, right? 250,000 as a dowry isn't expensive, is it? And it's not unreasonable, right? Look at this. Other people buy houses worth over 1 million or hundreds of thousands. And they still ask for cars, for this and that. I don't ask for any of that. I just ask for a dowry. That's not unreasonable, is it? After all, how many people marry without giving a dowry? Very few, right? I think my requirement is pretty reasonable. Many people online and followers say I'm being ridiculous, that asking for 250,000 is like selling a daughter, or that it's more of a transaction than a marriage. But asking for a dowry is very normal, isn't it? It's even better than those who ask for a house and a car, don't you think? At least I only ask for a dowry. Now, if you want to get married and don't even want to give a dowry, then you might as well stay single, right? That money would be better spent elsewhere. Besides, the dowry is just a formality, something symbolic. Everywhere, when there's a wedding, people always ask for a dowry, right? I'm not the only one asking for it. If I were the only one asking for so much, then that would be over the top, but that's not the case. It's like this everywhere. Not asking for a dowry, or a house, or a car would be impossible, right? Some people say my demands are unreasonable and that I'll never be able to get married. But honestly, I think my demands aren't excessive. Other people ask for a dowry, a house, and a car, which is even more absurd, right? Every region has its own traditions, and it varies from place to place. For example, if someone were to become a live-in son-in-law in another family, they would also ask for a car, a house, and a dowry, right? So everyone needs to consider things from other people's perspectives. You can't always think only about yourself. You have to consider others too. I feel my demands are very reasonable. But what do you think? Well, that's all for now. See you later.
自己熬到了一个大龄剩女。
Finally, I've reached an age where I'm considered an older single woman, which is quite embarrassing. I was born in 1987, I'm a rabbit in the Chinese zodiac, I'm 36 years old. I don't have a house, a car, or savings. No children, no husband. And no pressures. For someone my age. If I go for a blind date, I'm already in the position of being chosen. As has been said before. Before 30, a woman chooses the man. After 30, it's her who gets chosen. I've already reached the age of being chosen. In the past, when I tried blind dates, the men made some demands, which were quite realistic, regarding having children. They think that after 35, having children becomes more difficult. My view is to let things take their course. So, in the end, things didn't work out, and we parted ways. I feel that after all these years of being single, there's nothing wrong with it. I sleep until I wake up naturally. I don't need to take children to school. And I don't have to deal with family problems. These are situations that I see my friends of the same age going through. When I see their marriages aren't happy, I start to feel relieved by my choice. Regardless of the choices you make in life, the most important thing is to please yourself. Not try to please others. When two people are together, there will always be some differences in opinions. Some conflicts. At this point, one of the parties needs to adapt. But I've lived over 30 years. My habits, my personality, have prevented me from adapting to others. So, if in the future I don't meet someone I truly like and who is compatible, I will continue choosing the single life. I won't get married. And I won't regret my choice.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hua Hua. And tonight I went on another blind date. I want to ask you a sincere question. When you go on a date like this, what really matters to you? Do you also feel that immediate chemistry? Because in my case, tonight was a complete disappointment. The person had some good conditions. But honestly, it was impossible to ignore that the man I met was the definition of a contrast between the photos and reality. He had a mortgaged apartment in Hangzhou. A good job, seemed to be kind and polite. But everything felt so superficial. You know, he spoke with a soft voice, but couldn't look me in the eyes. The impression was that he was there out of obligation. I thought maybe it was just me, but I couldn't connect. I didn't feel a spark of interest. I have a rule. I don't like to be fooled by photos. So when it comes to showing who I really am, I prefer to be honest and show something more natural. I know everyone uses filters. I've used them myself, but deep down I know it's pointless. I'm not going to put on makeup or transform into someone I'm not just to impress. I am who I am, and I'm not going to hide behind a retouched version of myself. And guess what? He did the same. What he sent me was definitely an edited version of his image. And when we met in person, the difference was clear. When we met, I immediately felt a lack of authenticity. He seemed to be speaking only to fill the silence. But when I asked about what he was saying, it was as if he had nothing interesting to say. The worst part? He could barely speak clearly. Seriously, it was so hard to understand what he wanted to say, that I started to think maybe he wasn't even really interested in getting to know me. During dinner, things didn't improve. We ordered a dish, and it was ridiculously salty. I politely said that he should call the waiter and ask for a replacement, because it was impossible to eat. What did he do? He started muttering incomprehensible words to the waiter. And the result was that the waiter didn't understand anything he was trying to say. I, being more direct, went and solved the problem. But deep down I was thinking, if he can't even make a simple request, what else is he capable of solving? I really don't know what to expect from these blind dates anymore. I'm not a person who demands absurd perfection. But I also don't want to waste my time on something empty. He didn't attract me, didn't make me feel that it was worth giving him another chance. And the worst of all this pretense, all this insecurity I noticed, made me question why we're doing this. Why is there still this absurd pressure to find someone? Just because society says I'm at the advanced age? You know, it's frustrating. The pressure to marry, the pressure to please others. To please the world while inside, you feel completely out of place. I don't want to live a lie just to please others. I've lived enough to know that happiness doesn't come from pleasing others. Happiness comes from being true to yourself. And if that means staying single a little longer, then so be it. I'm not going to panic just because society says I'm falling behind. I'm no longer a young woman trying to please. I'm a woman who knows what she wants and doesn't want. So, to all those who say I'm wasting my time, here's my answer. I'm not wasting anything. I'm simply respecting myself. And when the time comes to find someone, I'll be myself without masks, without filters. Because I'm not going to hide behind an expectation that isn't mine. And if I don't find anyone, that's fine too. I'll keep living my life at my own pace. Because, in the end, the only person I need to worry about is myself.
I can't take it anymore. I'm already 36 this year. It's been 8 years since I last held a man's hand. Aren't you worried? I'm really worried. Look, Mom. The new year is coming soon. My mom has been giving me ultimatums for about 10 years now. And it's not because of my high standards, right? Back then, when I was younger, I was still beautiful. You don't see how I've gained weight now. I'm not as pretty as I used to be. I'll tell you. I was the prettiest flower in the village. No one could compare to me. Back then, I demanded that the person at least have a postgraduate degree. And I wouldn't accept less than someone who was 1.75 m tall. And you, who didn't even finish high school. It was because of my lower education that I required more from others in terms of education. So our kids could be well educated. Oh, and I also required a height of 1.75 m or taller. And besides that, the house and car had to be good. But now, I realize that I can't stick to these rigid standards. I think I need to lower my requirements a bit. What requirements, you ask? Well, any man will do. As long as he's not married, of course. And you still need to like him. Right? As for the 50 kilograms of nice legs, I've settled for a simpler pair of legs now. Oh, other things like height. And whether he has money, a house, or a car, don't matter as much anymore. Nowadays, rent is cheaper. So renting a house is fine. If you're willing to humble yourself, and even chase after the man, that's fine. I'm willing. As long as I like him. And he's willing to have some contact with me. I'm willing to give him a chance.
This year I am 35 years old. When I mentioned my dating requirements, I scared away 16 potential suitors. My first requirement is that after we have children, we cannot have them with us all the time. The second requirement is that my dowry must be 500,000. In addition to the dowry, the man's family home must be transferred to my name before the wedding, and he and his parents must hand over their salary cards for me to manage. The third requirement is that the man's monthly salary must be below 20,000. The fourth requirement is that after marriage, I want to bring my parents to live with me. The fifth requirement is that the man must be taller than 1.76 meters, under 40 years old, have good looks, a good character, be loyal to me, and know how to do household chores. The sixth requirement is that the man must own a house and a car in the city. Ideally, the house should have 4 bedrooms and 2 living rooms, be over 150 square meters, and come with a maid.
Today I came to the Star Corner to show you what the information about the girls displayed here in the matchmaking market usually looks like. Why do they say there are so many older single women? Take a look here. Born in 1989, 1984, 1983, 1985, 1983, 1981, 1980. Mostly over 30 years old, or largely over 35. Why do they say it's hard to find matches in today's matchmaking market? It actually reflects a conflict indirectly. Now, let me show you the men's side. Take a look here. Born in 1995, 1993, 1995, 1991, 1996, 1997, 1998, 1990, 1992. Now tell me, these men, represented by the blue cards, do you think they would match with the pink cards of the women? Do you think these women can find a match among these blue cards? That's why today's matchmaking market, well, it is what it is, not much can be done.
I can't say exactly when, but somehow women started being viewed as a disadvantaged group. Why is it that in relationships only women are allowed to make demands on men? I just want to say that there are hidden motives and deep traps behind this. The reasons might be twofold. First, the exaggerated self-definition as a disadvantaged group. For a long time, women were indeed seen as a disadvantaged group, but that was in the past. Today, the female population is millions larger than the male population, and yet many women still see themselves as the weaker sex. They believe that men should treat them well, as if it's a given, while they keep making more and more demands as if they're entitled to them. Women see themselves as delicate flowers in need of care and protection, and there's nothing wrong with that. But before making demands, maybe it's time to take a look at your partner's reality. If he earns $1,000 a month, it doesn't make sense to ask him for $2,000. You complain about being tired from work and want him to be the provider, but does that make him feel useless? He takes you out and you say the place is too simple. Or if he doesn't take you out, you say he's worried about losing face. I have to ask, is this really who you are behind your demands? Do your parents know how you act? Second, the desire to have everything without effort and permanently. Today, it seems like women want to reach the top right away, to find a rich and powerful man who will solve all their problems for the rest of their lives. They want endless money, and on top of that, they want their partners to be caring and attentive. Some even say if a man doesn't spend his money on them, he's just wasting it. I have to ask, are you a plant or mentally disabled? The man works hard for his money, and you feel entitled to spend it without a second thought? If that's the case, how about you go out and make money, and I'll spend it for you. Let me warn you, today I want a Chanel bag. Tomorrow I'll want an LV. And the next day I want a new car. How would you feel about that? In life, everything should be an equal exchange. If you want these things, you first need to understand that in a relationship, both people need to be valued and respected. Only when you earn that respect will he treat you the same way. Otherwise, it's time to stop daydreaming. Love requires effort from both sides. If all you do is demand without being willing to give anything in return, men will eventually reject you. Even the most patient and capable of them will get tired of a woman who does nothing and acts as if everything is an obligation. And that's basically why most of the women shown in today's video are single. Of course, in the video, they seem a bit more reserved, but if you take a look at the comments, you'll see that many of them are just putting up a facade. Let me make it clear again. I'm not generalizing, and I'm definitely not saying this only applies to Chinese women. There are women like this all over the world, but there are also good women out there. Though they're hard to find, they do exist. What's your opinion on this? If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.